Let's talk about mutual fund expenses because unfortunately, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Mutual funds do some great things. They give you a whole basket of holdings. They give you diversification. They give you less risk possibly. They give you a lot of good stuff and you got to pay for that, at least somewhat. So it's real important to understand the mutual fund expenses because that can make a big difference between mutual funds. You might be surprised to know that there can be a wide difference in terms of what mutual funds charge you to hold their fund, and it can be really impactful as far as your overall returns. In fact, that's why index funds have risen in popularity so much, and then exchange traded funds, which are similar to index funds, because their expenses are so low, they have a less big hurdle to overcome to have a good return when you're comparing, let's say, two funds. And after this lesson, the next lesson, we're actually going to look at a little case study where we're going to compare a couple of funds, and you can really see this in action and what the difference is between them when you start factoring in expenses and how impactful that can be. So let's start talking about, well, what are some of the expenses out there? What should I be looking for? Because a lot of times your expenses are kind of hidden. I wish it was a little bit more upfront. Some are better than others as far as mutual fund companies, but these are the expenses you want to be looking for. This is the overall expenses that are out there. And there's really two big ones that really you'll see everywhere, and you really want to be on these first, and then you look further onto the other ones. And the two big ones are sales charges, or loads, and the expense ratio. So let's talk about these first, then we'll look at the others. First off, sales charges, or a load, and that's usually how it's referred to as a fund might be a load fund or a no-load fund. And what does that mean? And the idea of a load or a sales charges, that's the privilege of you to buy that fund. So if I'm XYZ fund, I have this fund, I have these investments, you can buy into my fund, but to do that you might have to pay to enter. It's kind of like a cover charge at a bar, I guess, right? You pay to get into the fund. And that would be called a front-end charge or front-end load. Now a no-load fund would have no charges in front. So typically like a front-end load might be around 3%, let's say for example. So that means if you want to buy into my fund and I charge you a front-end load of 3%, immediately, whatever you invest, whatever amount you invest, I take 3% off the top before anything happens, before any returns or anything like that. That's like, thanks for the money, thanks for the 3%, which is not insignificant. That's a big money. That means your portfolio, your investment in that mutual fund has already been reduced 3% forever. It's a one-time charge, by the way. It's not a recurring annual charge. It is a one-time charge. So that's the good news. The bad news is like it's taking that money right off the top, so you in fact have less money to invest in a front-end charge or front-end load. That's why a no-load fund that has no front-end charge, it takes zero of that, which means you've got more money working for you, and that'll help your overall return, because it's all about, not how much you make in terms of return, it's how much you keep. So things like expenses and taxes and some of these other considerations reduce how much you're keeping. So, please keep that in mind when you're looking at expenses. So front-end loads and front-end charges are all about taking money off the front right when you get in. Now there's also what's out there called a back-end load or back-end sales charge. It could also be like 3%. So if you have a charge coming in, you may or may not, they actually have a charge as far as when you're leaving too, or as a back-end charge once you sell that mutual fund as well. So that can be real impactful. It's like, boy, I've grown up all this money, maybe I invested for 10 years or so, and now when I cash out, they're going to take money away from me. Well, that's kind of icky, right? So when you're looking at mutual funds, and there's so many mutual funds, so many good mutual funds with no loads, either in the front or in the back end, really look at that first to see in your universe of mutual funds you want to be looking at, because that really is a big impactful expense either in the beginning or the end. So look for no load funds, I would recommend, but if you're looking at a load fund, it better be a top performer, a top 5, 10% performer, and well outperforming its index, because you could get an index fund with no load. So that's first thing to look at is sales charges or loads. The next thing that you want to look at is expense ratio when you're looking at expenses. Expense ratio, and they typically average like 1%, by the way, but some are very low, like 0.2 or even less, like in an index fund, and some are very high, like 2% or more. And an expense ratio is the average expenses that you incur, basically what you're going to be charged on an annual basis, okay? So like a front-end load or a sales charge is a one-time charge. Expense ratio is an every year charge. So if you're going to hold, let's say, a mutual fund for 10, 20, 30 years, you're going to have that charge be occurring every year. So funds that have lower expense ratios make it easier for them to get you better returns and make it easier for you to make money. An expense ratio basically is pulling in things like the operating expenses of the fund, right? You have to pay things to actually operate the fund. So if it's an actively managed fund, I have somebody who's in charge of picking stocks, you got to pay the salaries of those people. In the index fund, you have people who are buying and selling, but it's all matching the index, so you don't have to pay as much or have as many people. Also, you have that might be wrapped up in there as a 12B1 fee or a marketing type fee that gets wrapped up in there, might be separate from there or inside it, so you got to look at that too. But your expense ratio is what you're paying on that annual basis. So in terms of expense ratios, the lower the number, the better. Also, there might be additional charges out there, and we're going to look at a couple examples in the next lesson on where to find these things, but there might be some miscellaneous charges that are not part of the expense ratio. Sometimes that 12B1 or marketing fee, which is basically all that 12B1 is just extra expense, just charging for marketing, printing the brochures. It's just an extra expense. So look for funds that don't have a 12B1, but that could be outside the expense ratio, so watch for that. But also they might have some miscellaneous charges, such as might be called a custodial fee or some type of maintenance fee or some other type of hidden fee. You're looking for things that might be outside the expense ratio on an annual basis. But typically your expense ratio is going to have everything in there. But when you're looking at the funds, be aware that there might be additional fees on that. And they'll list them. They'll list them in the prospectus. They'll list them in their site, and we'll take a look and we'll show you kind of where that looks like. Lastly, there is possibly a redemption fee, very similar to the back-end load, where basically you have this fee when you sell. Now, a back-end load or a back-end sales charge means that no matter what, you're going to pay this fee at the end. So that's why it's called a sales charge or a load. You're going to pay a back-end at the end when you sell. Redemption fees are put in there to prevent frequent trading of a particular mutual fund, where if you charge this fee if you sell before a certain time, if you sell before 30 days, for example, might be typical, or even 60 days. Most funds don't have this, by the way, but many do, particularly like a technology fund or a small cap type fund, where they don't want people to buy a fund and then sell it right away and then buy and sell. They're really trying to discourage market timing. They're trying to discourage active trading. And so they have this redemption fee that if you buy, that's great. And if you sell after 30 days, no problem. But if you sell before 30 days, we're going to charge you a fee, which would be 1%. So they're really discouraging market timing. That's where an exchange traded fund is a little different, where it sells on a market exchange. You can buy and sell throughout the day and still get that diversified portfolio. So when we're looking at index funds and exchange traded funds and actively traded funds. But from a fee standpoint, redemption fees are a one-time fee that occurs if you sell before a certain time period, typically 30 to 60 days, versus let's say a back-end load where you're paying that 2-3%, whatever it might be, no matter what. So just be aware if there's dates around when you're going to sell, if there's any kind of type of fee like a redemption fee. All right, so you can see there's a lot of different types of expenses, right? And there's a lot of different things that you can get charged for. So when you look at the performance of a fund or whatever, when you look at your choices for a mutual fund as an example, take fees into consideration, because that can eat away at your return, either right off the bat with a load or over time as an annual expense ratio. That's why companies like Vanguard is real famous for really keeping their fees down and really promoting that, because that's their niche. They want to try to drive costs down to get more return too. That's what they're doing with their index funds, versus maybe an actively traded fund that might say, yeah, we've got more fees, but our performance is so good because our people are so good, or whatever, our performance is so good, it's well worth it to you to pay maybe a little higher fee than a low-cost index fund. So those are different ways they market their funds, but for you, you want to look at it from an expense standpoint. Last big thought here on expenses too. Don't let expenses and things like tax consideration totally drive your whole investment philosophy. It's good to drive down those costs, and certainly it's worth it to look at no-load funds and low-expense funds without a doubt. But you don't want to preclude from maybe getting a better fund that might be a little higher in the expense ratio, because they might be running a 3, 4, 5, 8, 10% better return, and you might just have to pay a little bit more in the expense ratio. So look at it as an overall return, but understand expenses can really, really eat away, and lower the expenses, the better off that is for you. Let's go look in the next lesson here, a couple case studies to look at a couple mutual funds side by side, so I can show you where to find this expense information, because it can be hidden sometimes, and how to compare these, compare some funds together. So when you're looking at your own mutual funds or other types of investments, you can kind of get a feel for, hey, where do I find this stuff?